Ah, don't you hate when you cancel the apocalypse just for it to renew itself 10 years later? I know I do. Pacific Rim Uprising is directed by Stephen S. Deknight and starring John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, Cailee Spaeny, Gorman, Charlie Day, and Tian Jing. Before I go any further, I just want to say there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. I also want to mention that anytime I talk about a movie that's in a franchise, whether it's a sequel or a third film in a trilogy or a fourth film or whatever number it is, I just want to say that I don't compare it to the films previous to it because I don't think that is very fair to the movie. I like to see every film get a chance to stand on its own. And if you're curious what I think about this movie versus its predecessor, I may get into that later on in the review. This film is the sequel to the 2013 film simply titled Pacific Rim, which was directed by Guillermo del Toro. He did not return as a director for this film, and Stephen S. Deknight took over for him. And this film centers around the character of Jake Pentecost, who is the son of Stacker Pentecost, who was portrayed by Idris Elba in the first movie. Jake is someone who is kind of a roguish character, but he is brought back into the Jaeger program in order to be a trainer for the up-and-coming new Jaeger pilots. But while doing so, a new threat arises, and he and the other Jaeger pilots that he is training need to confront it. This is the feature film directorial debut for Stephen S. Deknight. He is not someone who has worked really in film before. He is mostly known for doing work on television, whether it was getting his start on television series such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Angel, or then going on to being one of the showrunners for the Spartacus series, as well as for the first season of Daredevil. This is a film that I don't think a lot of people thought we were ever going to get because of all kind of production problems, Guillermo del Toro leaving the project and things like that, but he stepped in. I think he did a decent job of cobbling together a competent movie. It is a fun and entertaining movie, emphasis on entertaining. Unfortunately, if you go into this movie expecting anything else really of great substance, you're going to be heavily disappointed. Although I will say early on in this film, there was a heavy emphasis on putting a lot of character elements into the movie, particularly centering around the Jake Pentecost character. John Boyega is an actor whose star is rising, and I have to say he is one of the bright spots in this movie. I really liked his character. He has a great charisma on screen, and I thought he carried the movie very well. It's many of the elements around him that I had issues with. I also thought he and the young character of Amara, portrayed by Cailee Spaeny, were very good together on screen. They had a nice mentor-mentee relationship that was rather well done. Unfortunate for me, when it came to a lot of the character elements in this movie, is that they started off writing them, and then once the plot kind of took over, those elements were wrapped up very quickly, the arcs were wrapped up very quickly, and they kind of skipped a few steps to get there, but they got there. It's as if they had a beginning and an end to these character arcs, but not much of a middle, and that really kind of bothered me because once the main plot of this movie took over, I found this movie dipped significantly in quality. It was a really generic, and I'd rather say dumb plot. Also, one of the negative aspects of the movie is Scott Eastwood is a very handsome actor. He is the son of Clint Eastwood, who is very much a Hollywood legend, whether you like him or not. But Scott Eastwood really doesn't deliver much charisma on screen. He's a rather wooden actor, although he tried a lot of comedy in this movie. He and John Boyega tried to have this back and forth. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, sometimes it got repetitive, and it really felt strained at times. The action sequences in this movie I thought were rather entertaining. They did feel rather repetitive, and overall there was not a great spark of imagination in the movie. There wasn't something that really made me feel wowed in any way. It's just a rather generic blockbuster popcorn-eating movie that you can have a decent time with if you shut your brain off. Also, one of the more negative aspects of the movie is, unfortunately, an actor that I really like, and that is Charlie Day. He's a really funny comedic actor, but in this movie, the way they wrote his character and the way he portrayed it was really not good. It was supposed to come off as serious, at least as what I believed, but I ended up laughing out loud hysterically at it at times. And I believe I was the only one in the theater that thought how ridiculous this scenario that they put his character in was. And that was not a good sign. If you're watching a movie and something is supposed to be serious and you end up laughing at it, that's not good. If you're curious what I think about the original as compared to this one, the original for me is a better movie. It's a better screenplay. It does have a lot of issues, but Guillermo del Toro really elevated that film because he has such a sense of style and such a sense of panache that he was really able to give us a sense of spectacle that this film was rather lacking. With that being said, I'm going to give this film a 2.7 out of 5 stars. Like I said, not a great movie. I don't think it's an entirely terrible movie, but ultimately it felt kind of forgettable for me as well. So that has been my review of Pacific Rim. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.